What's up, everybody? My name is Paul Denuzio, also known as PLD.
And I'm Richard Eric Jarvi saying hi to with a huge hangover.
Hangover, huh? Had a fun
Yeah,
night last night, did you?
got a bit out of hand, but I'm still here. I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to do class action with you, Paulie. Tell us, what is class action?
Class Action. Class Action is our show here on the Action Industries YouTube channel, which you have found your way to. We thank you for that. And on this show, we take a look at probably two opposing sides or viewpoints, sometimes more than two, as we found recently. We're kind of expanding our horizons. But it could be movies, it could be franchises, Hollywood personas, in this case, characters even. With the help of the 5 custom-made categories that we will come up with, we decide which one is victorious in what we call the Class Action Brief of the Week.
Yep. And this the brief of the week involves or is inspired by a recently reviewed film. We will also provide a quick first thoughts review type of thing. But if the brief involves like older films, we might take a look at the films in a different way. But this week we're looking at a movie in a certain franchise, but the topic itself is not about the movie, so we can say what we're reviewing.
We're DC. We're going. Our overall topic is DC. It got inspired by DC. We're doing Birds of Prey as our review. We saw Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, or as it's also known as what is the other Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Yeah, something like that. There's a whole Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat thing all over again. A little too late probably for the box office, but it is what it is.
I'm hoping it will pick up.
We decided if we're doing Birds of Prey in the DC universe, it is at least tangentially related to a topic we have been talking about covering anyway at some point, which is the Batman, the live action Batman. There he is. Now, of course, when the Batman film comes out with directed by Matt Reeves later on this year, you would think that'd be the time to do this, but we kind of we're excited to talk about it now. So we're going to go into it, and we're going to have the brief of the week, which will be the people versus the Batman. And I will clarify, it's going to be the live action Batman. And it's always brought up. It's got brought up when we talk about Joker. But people add all the animated Batmans, and it gets so muddled. But to me, I love the animated. I get the love for the animation, but I want to make it a little simpler. Let's just talk about the live action Batman, right?
Works for me.
That's what I think too. That's what we're gonna go with. So if you don't like the animated Batman, it's not that we don't. We just try to make this a little easier and a little more streamlined. We're gonna figure out who is our favorite live action Batman, and of course, what we're gonna do at the end of this, well, a couple months later, is whoever wins this battle, which we have no idea yet, we will put him up against Robert Pattinson after the Batman debuts. So it's almost like a battle royal, and the winner will face the newcomer.
So we definitely have some good stuff coming your way when Batman comes out as well.
That's true. Well, I wish I could hear more about your life and what happened last night. Was it Valentine's Day thing? Did you go with
yeah, but my girlfriend's out of town.
Oh, that's right.
So I just went out with my friends, and we were supposed to have a board game night, and we started off with board games. We ended up at a club. I ended up at some VIP tables. No idea how I got in there. I had like a wristband, it was like a VIP access. No idea. I woke up, got like 5 hours of sleep. I was like, "What the hell happened last night?"
Boring word to you. I tell you that much. I had to go.
So I'm burning my life like Bruce Wayne in BBS. Was it
BBS? Yeah. Nice, Evans. I did something a lot more boring. Not boring, I should say. My daughter's birthday is the 13th, so we took her out, her and her boyfriend, and a couple of her friends out to Hibachi. I got to see chop as we. I love Hibachi. Hibachi is so.
I have no idea what it is.
Oh, it's a Japanese restaurant where they cook in front of you.
Oh, we are right. Yeah. Okay.
So it's a nice filet mignon. It was nice, really nice. Spent a lot of money, but that's okay. But anyway. Let's get on with the show here. As we mentioned before, we're on the Action Industries YouTube channel. It's the home of all things Ben Bateman and Andrew Guy. Two guys we salute for giving us a chance to be on this channel and giving this show to you guys. And of course, they're also responsible for their own wonderful content. We got the Action Guys as their big show here on Action Industries. They also do some action reviews, and of course, the show we met on What did we meet on, Jarvi?
Action movie anatomy.
Movie anatomy. That's been a long, stalwart show for them. But we had a funny little anecdote about that this week.
Not even an anecdote. It's a true story.
But a little behind the scenes info here. Jarvi and I are a part of Action Industries. We are it's a group of people that are helping Ben and Drew develop their brand, and it's Class Action is a part of that as well. Jarvi and I, along with Brandon Hanna, are on what's called the senior staff.
No, you're the senior.
I'm an old man. I'm getting like retirement stuff in the mail now. Right? I'm like, I'm not that old yet, but getting there, I guess.
I kid.
But we're supposed to come up with a cooler name for that. So they said they gave us like senior staff. We were supposed to come up with something cooler. We just never did because we just failed miserably, I guess. But anyway, regardless, we're the senior staff. We have a chat between the five of us, Ben, Drew, and the three of us. They keep us up to date what they're doing and like we plan ahead of time and everything else.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll interject. They hadn't said anything about doing AMA, so I just wrote in the chat, "What are you doing for AMA this week?"
So we can plug it. Covers on Instagram, of course. So he needs to know these things.
And what did they answer with?
Loud and proud, they come up with "Once Upon a Time in Hollywood."
And you and me were like, "Yes, fuck yes." 8 whiskey sours. We're doing this.
Rick Dalton. We're excited.
We're announcing it. I'm doing AMA questions on it. Everything's like in full swing.
And then all of a sudden, Andrew Guy comes up and says, "Wait a second. We did this movie already."
You know where I think it comes from? It was actually on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people who sent in their AMA question was like, "Didn't you already do this?" But Andrew had opened it. That's why it didn't show up on me as like unread. And then I understood that Andrew actually, I don't think he realized himself. He just saw a comment.
No, he actually mentioned it at one point. No, it was his girlfriend. Ash had told him that. Ash told him, "Did you guys do that?" And Andrew's response said, "Well, no, I couldn't have done it because Paul would have told me or something." I was like asleep. I woke up and I read it quickly. And before I went back to sleep, but here, an egg on their face, they went, "Yeah, we can't do that. We already just did that. All five of us.
We were counting on you."
I failed. I have failed Action Industries, but all five of us had no idea. We're ready to go again. It was probably, and it wasn't. What is it? Like not even a couple months ago, probably at this point.
Yeah, it was when it came out.
Regardless, we're getting old, we're getting tired. I've killed my brain cells a lot of Jack Daniels and Jameson. So that's a little funny behind the scenes interview there. So they did not do Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They actually ended up doing Parasite instead. Still won Best Picture. Makes sense. So
that happened.
But anyway, let's get into our show now, Class Action.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do the first step. We're gonna do here is we're gonna go talk about what we said. We'll call it the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie, whatever you want to call it.
Yep. What do you think? Is it a good idea that they changed the title?
I honestly think it's a little too late. I mean, it might help with the DVD and Blu-ray, like the home media later on. I get why they did it. I think it's smart. They should have done that to begin with because Birds of Prey I think a lot of times bigger companies, it's kind of funny what they have a hard time with what to do with inside baseball material. Like, for example, a lot of times Star Wars, for example, is afraid of using too much inside baseball for the fan base. DC, the comic book companies get afraid of it sometimes, but sometimes they like think that just because your niche audience knows, like a lot of the niche audience DC Comics fans knows Birds of Prey. They know what that means at the comic book and everything else. But the general consensus outside of that niche or that's out of the comic book world, I don't think they have any idea what Birds of Prey is. They know who Harley Quinn is after Suicide Squad. They know who the Joker is, obviously. So like when you give it that long title and you throw Harley Quinn at the end, the title doesn't pop as much. You're kind of just like, you almost don't read it. Like, that's fucking too long of a title. Birds of Prey. And they move on to the next one. Putting Harley Quinn in front of it. Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. Oh, that's that Margot Robbie character. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's too little too late for me, but I probably should have done the beginning in the first place.
Yeah. It's weird. First off, I was like, sure, yeah, the name change seems like the obvious choice. But on the other hand, I feel like the long, super complex, almost like, the title makes it it makes you think about it. It makes you like, what is this weird title? This is movie titles aren't that long. Like when the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, like titles like that, they kind of actually catch your attention because movie titles usually are very abrupt and short. So I actually thought it was kind of special that they did that, but it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, that's a long discussion about the title. I want to get into the meat of the movie. What do you think about the movie?
First thoughts. Did you like it?
I did. I liked it. I hesitate saying I liked it, but I did. It's weird because I went into this film before anybody had seen it. I kind of had not a lot of hype about it. Like, okay, Suicide Squad was not a great movie, but I liked Margot Robbie in it. But DC has been stepping forward a lot of shows lately, so it's I had some quiet optimism, but I wasn't like raring to go. But then like some of the reviews started coming in, and they're all very extremely positive. They're all saying, this is actually a really good step and everything else. So I kind of went in like a weird like roller coaster of expectations. And I came out of it thinking it was good. It was fine. It was fun. It's not going to be a best of for me in the year. It's not going to be something I'm going to put on a repeat.
Not even at this time of the year. It's not on your best of the year.
Well, I mean, I've only seen a couple. I've actually seen a lot. I haven't seen that many 2020 movies, so I guess technically it's not my best of.
It's the best movie of the year. You heard it here first.
That's by default. Actually, I don't know. Either way. What about you? What did you think about your first thoughts and like what you saw?
I liked it a lot.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was a very like it did all the things that Suicide Squad tried to do, but the good parts of it.
I'll agree with that.
So yeah, all like the integration of music and sort of this hectic storytelling going back and forth. But in this case, it makes sense because it's Harley Quinn. She's nuts. She's crazy. Right? She's the unreliable narrator. Wow, I can't pronounce anything. It's The Hangover. Unreliable narrator. But it worked. Like her going back and forth with her timeline, but the biggest thing that I wasn't a fan of is actually the thing that you're the biggest fan of is Ewan McGregor.
Can't believe you.
Okay, I love like Ewan McGregor is one, like Obi-Wan Kenobi might be my number one character of all time. Like Ewan's Obi-Wan. All right. I feel like he was miscast in this, and it's the same reason I'm gonna spoil Charlie's Angels, the latest one.
Okay, I haven't seen it. But
you don't want me to?
I don't care. I like the movie. I don't really care about being spoiled for. I'll probably eventually see it, but I'm not too.
Okay, I'll just quickly spoil it if you don't mind. Then it's like they made Patrick Stewart's character the villain, the Bosley, turn around and became a villain. It's like, what? Patrick Stewart, you're so adorable. You're so likable. You don't work as a villain. It's exactly the same thing as was watching Ewan McGregor. He's like, I see him having so much fun, and I like the fact that he's going all in, but it isn't him. It wasn't. It felt like he was kind of like forcing him to be evil.
I vehemently disagree.
Yeah,
I vehemently disagree. And here's why. It's not a character that they play off as a very menacing character. It's almost like a very like wannabe menacing character.
Well, he cuts people's faces off.
He doesn't. He tells other people to do it and kind of squirms at it a little bit. He wants to be the badass, but he's not a badass. He's almost a little rich boy whining. Like he's almost like a weaker villain in a way. And I think it worked perfectly for that because he got to choose scenery. Got to be, and especially in this type of movie, which is zany, he's a zany villain. He gets to be like this. He's like, I'm going to stomp and get my way because I get my way. But as a bad guy, he's not supposed to be menacing. I can see having a hard time him being like a really imposing villain character, but that's not how they're playing this one off as. To me, he had just enough. Spark of insanity in there, and he stole the show for me. I thought he was actually my favorite part of the movie.
Hearing your reasoning kind of makes me view him in a different way because I slot him in as like the badass villain. Now that you're talking, like he pretty much just tells people what to do. He doesn't really do anything himself.
Right.
So in a way, yeah, I do know what you mean, but still, he's too adorable of an actor
It
to
is
play a
adorable.
villain. It's weird, but he worked in Doctor Sleep. I liked it when he was like messed up at the beginning, like stealing money from a single mother and stuff like
Well,
that.
because you knew he was a good guy. You still knew he was a good. At heart, he
Yeah.
was a good guy. He was like struggling and at rock bottom. He was still a good guy. I get what you're saying about that.
Mhm.
But that brings actually a point to me, like talk about Ewan McGregor in general. That's the strong point of the whole movie for me. Is not just Ewan McGregor; it's performances. Performances
Mhm.
are what makes this
Yes,
movie work.
of course.
Margot Robbie's great. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as the Huntress is phenomenal.
Yeah, the
Really,
Huntress.
really good.
She was my favorite part, except for Harley Quinn.
They're
For
all wonderful performances. I mean, there's definitely no
Mhm.
missing there. The weaknesses for me was what you said before was the story. The story is like they have a MacGuffin with the diamond.
Mhm.
They
It's
had
not a story. It's just the skeletons laid there.
it's very
It's a
thin.
very very thin story.
With point A to point B, but then they try to
Yeah.
it's almost like they try to overcomplicate it with the. I think they almost try too hard with it sometimes, and not that it was confusing, but it was kind of like it felt a little tiring to me at times. Kind of like, okay, we're gonna go back and this is what we're gonna do. This is your gimmick to do. Okay, we're gonna do that.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
don't really see them in danger at all. You know that it's a situation that they're thrown in, and you know that they're going to get out of it, but you just want to see what they're doing, how they're R-rated, cursing, stuff like that, blood. You just want to see all this madness that's going on there. So I feel like in that sense it worked, and I had so much fun in the cinema. People were cheering at a press screening, which never happens.
That's true.
So it was pretty awesome.
I was my
One
daughter
person
loved
did
it.
walk out though.
My daughter loved it. My wife Kim said she liked it, but didn't get the hype, and that's kind of how I felt. I liked it, but it was like. So I mean, at the end of the day, I would if there's more of them, great. If there's not.
I would love to see more of them.
Yeah, I'm
really
happy
would.
either way. I wouldn't wouldn't be distraught if there's never any more. But I
Mhm.
do like Margot Robbie, especially as Harley Quinn. So that would be nice. I do want to point out, actually, now that I think about it, one thing I didn't like is I did not like Cassandra Cain because I know the comic books very well. I shouldn't say I know them very well. I know the comic books enough to know that was a very big departure from Cassandra Cain. Cassandra Cain,
Remind me.
she's like in the movie she's a pickpocket, the kid pickpocket. But
Okay,
in the comic, she's like
of
an
course,
badass, like
Mhm.
Batgirl at some points, and she really kicks ass. It was just like it wasn't Cassandra Cain, so why call her Cassandra Cain? It's like I don't know. It just didn't make any sense to me. So that threw me off a little bit too. But I mean, I got over it because the rest of the performances was fun, and the camaraderie was there. I'd like to see a little more development for the Birds of Prey if it was going to be a Birds of Prey movie. Like it almost feels like this should have been the third movie. Like we almost should have gotten a solo Harley Quinn movie, and then they could have brought in the rest of the Birds of Prey next. But that's neither here nor there.
It feels like Deadpool 2 in a way, like gathering the X-Force, sort of.
Right.
It had similar vibes to it as well. It was very Deadpool-y at times.
It was a little Deadpool. I don't think he could pull off Deadpool as well as Deadpool did, though. That's part of the issue. I don't know.
True.
But at the end of the day, I know my daughter loved it. She loved Harley Quinn, so that's what's important, I guess. The movie's definitely not made for me, I guess, in a way, in that sense. But I did enjoy myself overall. If I had to grade it, I'd give it a 3.5.
Yeah, me too. Actually, me too. I liked it more than you, but I still wouldn't go over 3.5.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine. I think I gave it a 3, and I kind of afterwards thought about it. But it was fun enough. It was fun enough to give it a 3.5. I'd watch it again. Like when it comes out on home media, I'll
exactly.
Watch it.
I feel like it's a good have a beer kind of movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Put it on the background or whatever.
Yeah.
But the action sequences are fun. So that's what sometimes all you need is to have a little bit of fun with it. So there you go. And that's where we're end. You got any more comments on it? Are you good?
I think we're good on Birds of Prey. Why don't we take this to the Batcave?
Well, we have one more thing to do first before we go to the Batcave. Our segment
weird.
of the week. Our favorite segment of the week.
Right.
My favorite segment of all time in the show. You know me. We're going to discuss my favorite play. What would Ed Harris play? Ed Harris, my favorite actor of all time, the man who should have an Oscar but doesn't. He's one of the best, probably the greatest living actor who has not received an Oscar yet, in my mind. I know there's other options, but
there's Top Gun Maverick coming up.
Top Gun Maverick. He's not going to get an Oscar. That's not going to be an Oscar movie for him. So in this category, we always decide what would Ed Harris play. We actually either replace a character in the movie or we write a new character for the movie that he would make it better, because Ed Harris always makes everything better. You've heard it here first. That is what I have to say. I'm going to go first because I was excited about mine.
You go first, because I almost forgot about mine, and I just came up with one really ridiculous one just before we went live. So you go first. And I just spilled Coke on my keyboard.
Oh God!
There we go. Coca-Cola.
And you're gonna short you out, and you're gonna. That's there. This is one that's going to be very argued against. Probably, I think I can already see people going, "Are you kidding me?" But I love it. I want to see Ed Harris as the Joker.
Wow. Oh, that is actually a great picture for that.
I know. This is why. If you ever have seen a movie, I know I've played this up to you. It's not a great movie.
I've seen the scene.
It's not a great movie, but it's got great moments in it. It's a movie called Just Cause. And Ed Harris plays almost like a Hannibal Lecter type, but he's this insane prisoner. And he has these great scenes with Sean Connery. And he delivers this crazy, cackling, almost like he's almost very Joker-y. So I think he could deliver an amazing Joker to the chance. His intensity into that role, just sliding it a bit more to the insane.
So that's 90s Ed Harris, or even is it even 80s?
No, it would be 90s. That was 90s. It was the same year as the Rock.
90s. So you're going like you're like recasting like what AMA used to do, like
exactly.
Younger generation. Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to do that. I'd have to do something. I don't know what to do for it. We should actually do that. So I actually wouldn't mind ripping that right from AMA and doing like a whole.
But they're not doing recast anymore.
That's true. That's why we could totally take it over. Maybe we'll have to talk about that off air and see if we want to do that at some point. But either way, Ed Harris as the Joker. Let me see it from 1990s. Give me that intensity. I love it.
It's ambitious. I like it. It's ambitious. Mine is definitely not a worthy one. But I would, like, first of all, I would make the hyena talk, and I'd have Ed Harris do the voice for Bruce.
I love it. I love it. In this kind of movie, it totally
this works. Is all I have. So thank God.
All right. Well, then we're going to move on before we go any deeper down that rabbit hole, or bat hole, I guess I should say, but deeper that bat cave. Let's go from that bat cave. Now we'll go into the other bat cave. We start talking about brief for the week. We're going to talk about the people versus the live action Batman.
Yep. And fair warning. There's what, like 6?
We have 6 Batmen that are live action that were in film, not counting Robert Pattinson, who obviously hasn't been released yet. I'll list them now. We have Adam West from the 1966 classic. There was a movie. Yes, it's mostly a TV show, but there was a movie. We have Michael Keaton from the 1989 Batman. We have Val Kilmer. Batman Forever. Batman Forever. We had George Clooney from the fabled Batman and Robin. Sing! We have Christian Bale from the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. And we also finally have Ben Affleck, Batfleck, from the DCEU, where unfortunately he never even had his own film, unless you count Batman vs. Superman as his film, but
pretty much was, though.
Kind of was. It was just as much a Superman sequel in a way, too, but close enough. It's Batman and the DCEU. So those are the live action Batmans we have.
Fair warning, though, I mostly use the big 3 in my battles. So, and that there's a big reason for it, because I feel like Kilmer, Clooney, and Adam West, they didn't have much of an impact on me. I remember seeing the movies, but they're not like etched in my memory as to, come up with
I get that.
Reasonings for the categories, but we'll talk about it when we get into the categories. We've got 5 custom-made categories for this.
It's not. Well, I would just point out it makes total sense what you're saying. I mean, they definitely make that. I mean, Adam West is almost a completely different Batman than everything else. Honestly, he was more of almost a comedic, campier Batman. But I brought up. Richard would argue we should just do the big 3 at one point, and I said let's just throw them all in there because technically I want to be complete. Let's give them all their due. They all were Batman. If you don't think they'll win, let's give them their due in the categories. Let's see what's happening. The funny thing is, both of us talked about this. With the categories that we have, none of us have preconceived decisions at this point. We're talking these out. We're going to make the decisions on the fly as we go because we have thoughts, but not like definitive, concrete answers. So, Should I list? You want me to list all 5 categories and then go, or just go one at a time? What do you think? Should I list all 5 first and then?
I think we should list the categories and then
Let's
get
finish
into it.
I think I ask that every time. I think I
You do.
So I would go. I don't know what we do.
Let's do it this way this time.
I would think
Every
by
time
like
we do it.
episode 12 or whatever this is, 13, 14, if you count specials, I would know the format enough to do it, but I don't. Again, Jack Daniels, Jameson, that happens.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, the 5 categories that we are using then are the best Bruce Wayne. Which character is the best Bruce Wayne? Now, in that, we want to make sure we had it. I should digress a little bit and say that we had this discussion of the categories. They were a lot harder to come up with than we thought originally it was going to be, because we wanted to incorporate so many different things, and we wanted to so we had to shove some things into categories so we could talk about them. Just we wanted to mention, for example, best Bruce Wayne. We wanted to talk about Alfred, and we're like, well, maybe should Alfred have his own category, the best Alfred and Commissioner Gordon? But then it was that's not really Batman himself, but it does focus on Bruce Wayne. So talking about Alfred would be in Bruce Wayne, and that's how we came up with that. So best Bruce Wayne would be including Alfred and his Bruce Wayne compatriot, so to speak. Secondly, we got best villains, because as you know from if you watch AMA, watch Guy and Bateman, you can't have a good hero unless you have a good villain.
That's right.
So which Batman had the better villains? We have the best physical. Why don't you introduce this next category?
Best physicality, including voice. First, I had a category that just said best voice, because I still feel like it should be a category, but we compromised. We're doing and this is not just the look. This is we got a different category for the look, but this is physicality. How he, Batman. He's a great detective. He's got he's super smart, but he still is the brawler, and can take on villains that are physically able, let's say. So we're going to talk about how which of the Batman feels like is the most physically able to
intimidating,
take on villains.
I will just point out that maybe the voice is a thing. Maybe this is me being the minority. I think Christian Bale is the only voice there is per se, and it's always the mocked voice, oh, it's a Batman. And everybody else is okay, well, Bale's got the voice, everyone else has a voice, but
yep,
whatever. Anyway, we had a little argument over that though.
And two more.
We have best detective.
Yes,
best detective. Which
that's
Batman
obvious.
is the best detective work. Obviously, he's supposed to be the world's greatest detective. I will say the films don't show that nearly as often as the comic books do, but we'll throw our hat in that ring. And then finally, we'll end up with the best suit / vehicles and gadgets. That's Batman.
So that's the iconic Batman look.
Right. Who looks like Batman when he's looking at it? That's Batman. So
it's got the coolest suits and the coolest vehicles and stuff like that.
Batmobile, cool planes and stuff. But all right, we'll go from there. So let's get right into it. The best Bruce Wayne.
That's right, including Alfred. I feel like that's a big point in there. This is a weird one. First off, I gotta say Michael Caine is my favorite Alfred of all time. He's almost one of the greatest father figure characters, even though he's not a father. But for Batman, he pretty much is a father in a way. That being said, I do enjoy Affleck's Bruce Wayne, and I'm a big fan of actually Jeremy Irons and what he did there. And Affleck's his Bruce Wayne and lore altogether is it's much more badass, because the first generation of Waynes, he says we were hunters, right? And the whole persona of Bruce Wayne is rooted in this hard-hitting mentality, and even the scene when the pearl necklace scene when the gunman holds him up, you can see Wayne's hand going into, he's trying to fight back, which we've never seen before. Pretty much usually they just they get shot, it's like an accident or something. There we see him fighting back. So in that sense, I really do like Affleck's Bruce Wayne. And we got to talk about his non-suit look as well. I feel like Affleck's this sort of grizzled salt and pepper, almost has a stubble. he feels and looks very much like the playboy by day, vigilante by night type. So, but you go. I haven't decided yet.
Okay, all right. This is a weird category because what do you think of when you think of Bruce Wayne? Generally speaking, I think of Bruce Wayne as the billionaire playboy, almost a little Tony Stark-esque in a way, like where he kind of hide, but he just hides it. Like Batman is who he truly is. Bruce Wayne is his disguise and gets to be the billionaire, like that sleeps around and spends his money, almost like a himbo, so to speak. That's how they mainly consider it. But a lot of the Batman films don't do that to a degree. I mean, going back, Adam West's Batman from the '66, it's hard to think. He looked more like a dad as Bruce Wayne. You have Michael Keaton, who I will say this right now, as I was going over these categories, I'm gonna feel like I'm shitting on Michael Keaton's Batman. I love Michael Keaton's Batmans, but I almost love it despite not being very successful in a lot of these categories. I didn't like his Bruce Wayne because his Bruce Wayne was so
really.
I thought his Bruce Wayne was so almost like on the spectrum, like in a way, instead of being the.
What do you mean?
Like,
on a spectrum?
Like autistic. He's like socially awkward. Very like he just feels like he can't interact with them. Like he doesn't talk to anybody. He talks to Robert Wool, the reporter, about the artwork that he does, and he's very a loner. He's almost like Batman 24/7, even when he's Bruce Wayne. Whereas also the next film in that series, he was Val Kilmer. And Val Kilmer was very much a great Bruce Wayne as far as I'm concerned. He kind of came off as this like, I'm rich. I'm going to ask all these girls to date me. I'm going to go to the circus. I'm going to do all this stuff. And even though I'm not a big fan of the film, Clooney is a Bruce Wayne in real life. That's what Clooney is, like kind of Bruce Wayne in real life. So it's not much for performance. So I'm not going to cut that. Bale has a great sequences where he does that. But he does it. I love what he does because he does it more in terms of like he uses it to his advantage. Like he gets drunk and throws the people out because he wants to get them out of the party so that they can save them, that kind of thing. But then there's Affleck, who is almost a different Batman than we're used to. We're not used to a Batman this far down the line. This is an older, nearly retired type Batman. He's like he's not Bruce Wayne isn't even almost a character anymore. He's like he's more Batman full time than he is Bruce Wayne. But then again, we don't see Bruce Wayne in action very much, except for in the party with Lex Luthor. So he handles it well, but he doesn't. I think there's better. So I think I'm gonna beat you to it, and I'll name my favorite one here. It's between Bale and Kilmer for me.
Interesting. For me, it's between Affleck and Keaton.
I can't.
I held myself back when you were talking about Keaton. I actually enjoy that he's so quirky and sort of like has this comedic take on Bruce Wayne. He's like not this dark brooding, but he's like, not knowing how to be. I don't know. It gives this more levity, this Bruce Wayne character, and it's also Christ, I'm blanking on. How am I blanking on the director's name?
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. It's definitely his sensibilities that make his Bruce Wayne sort of this like quirky weird because that's Tim Burton.
Well, let me interject after what you're saying is like because I want to make it clear. It's not that I don't like his Bruce Wayne. I don't like the character of what he's doing. If I didn't know who Bruce Wayne was, or I didn't have a preconceived notion of what Bruce Wayne was, I would take a look and go, that's kind of an interesting take on it. But because I know the Bruce Wayne character, I have this picture in my head of who Bruce Wayne is. It was hard for me to get past this completely different take on it. So I guess I should say it's not a bad thing. It's just a more unique and
that's not what you want out of Bruce Wayne. I get it.
That's not what I see as Bruce Wayne myself. Which I see Kilmer, but I see Bale too. The other big difference between is Bale's Batman and Bruce Wayne is much more serious. It's much more grounded, much more earthy. Whereas Val Kilmer is in a comic movie. Batman Forever at the time was a really comic booky movie. So the Bruce Wayne is different. I think I'm gonna have to go with. I'm gonna give it to Val Kilmer.
Wow,
he's like perfect representation of Bruce Wayne in the comic.
Wow, yeah, this is probably the only point Kilmer will take. No, just
it might be.
But I think I'm going Affleck because now that I think of it, he's like exactly what I said about his sort of hunter mentality. That's not only him being Batman; it's him being Bruce Wayne at the beginning of BVS when he's running into the like the collapsing building into the dust. He's saving his employees, and people consider him as this, not only like this big, corporate executive, but he's like, help me, Mr. Wayne. He's like, he lifts the boulder up and saves him. It seems like people look to him as a savior, even as is Bruce Wayne, just like the one of the Wayne Enterprises executives is in the building that's collapsing, and he calls Bruce Wayne. It's
Right.
like he still calls to him, even though he knows he's just a man. He can't do anything.
Right.
They sort of have a perception of him being like this, this all-father type sort of.
I get it. I have to interject. Like, that's what I don't like about it in a way, is that like his Bruce Wayne is
very similar to his
disguise.
Batman.
He's a disguise, and it's not a disguise for Affleck. It's like you're Batman just without the costume on. But maybe by that point, and then maybe at that point in his career, he is. Or now he's got to give it up to Playboy or whatever. So I get it, but yeah.
I'm going Affleck.
You Affleck? I'll go Kilmer. So there we go. One there. All right. Let's move on. Move on to the best villains. Now, this is a difficult one. I'm going to go through this really quickly so we don't like spend time on it. We got West had Joker, Riddler, Catwoman, Penguin in the one movie. That's a lot of villains in one movie. But Keaton had Joker, the first one. In the sequel, he had Penguin and Catwoman as a big two. Kilmer had the Riddler and Two-Face in his one movie. Clooney had Mr. Freeze, Arnie. It's a hell of a big place. I also had the bad version of Bane and Poison Ivy. Bale had the most. I think had Scarecrow, Carmine Falcone, Ra's al Ghul had one of the best Jokers. I mean, Joaquin versus Heath is a totally different, worthy subject of discussion. Obviously,
we did an episode on it.
We did. You can go back and check that out. See what I did there. Joker had Two-Face, and also the end. Of course, we had Talia Shire and Bane, and also I think Scarecrow goes back again.
Yeah, briefly, but it's more an ancillary sort of role.
Affleck. Yeah. Affleck has Doomsday, Steppenwolf, and Luthor, and Superman.
Yeah. Let's say that Affleck is eliminated.
Boom. Absolutely.
Yeah. For me, honestly, I'll just go ahead and say what it is. I feel like
go right through.
This is easily Bale's. Okay. Like easily. This is the easiest category for me altogether. We usually talk about, when we're looking at these, like Nolan's Batman trilogy, we're talking about Joker, and then we're talking about how Bane is so underrated. Well, people don't talk enough about Ra's al Ghul.
I agree, 110% on that.
He's so underrated, and he's like, usually from the Batman lore, we know that Joker is Batman's sort of counterpart. Batman and Joker, they're fighting each other, but they sort of need each other. That's like in the comics. We've never really seen that in the movies, because we haven't had enough movies with Joker and Batman. We only had one movie on, and then they usually move on. So that's something I'm maybe wishing that happens when Pattinson gets the role, is they start weaving into how his relationship builds with the Joker, Yeah. In this sense, I feel like Ra's al Ghul is the Joker, because Ra's al Ghul is pretty much who shaped Bruce Wayne and Batman. Yeah. He's the continuing story throughout. He's in the first episode. I think they even mentioned him in The Dark Knight, and he comes back in The Dark Knight Rises as a ghost. So I feel like Batman becomes Ra's al Ghul, but not as extreme.
Okay, I'll go with that.
And yeah, this like Nolan's trilogy and his villains are.
The villains make the trilogy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, even more than Bale, to be honest with you. I'll touch back. I also eliminated Affleck right off the bat. I did eliminate Clooney off the bat, even though Arnold Schwarzenegger has a very, very big soft spot in my heart. But Bane's worst outranks that, so I get rid of that. Kilmer, I got to get rid of because Two-Face was not that great. Tommy Jones was not very good. Jim Carrey was great as the Riddler, but unfortunately, he played the Riddler as the Joker, so it wasn't really the right character. I thought, almost how Jesse Eisenberg played the Joker as Lex Luthor in a way.
Right? Yeah.
Everybody wants to be the Joker. They're trying to go, we're gonna have a Batman villain. I don't care if you make me whatever. I'm still going to play the Joker. But the best Joker, Keaton had Jack Nicholson. So he had some great
Mhm.
ones, and he had Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer, Penguin, and Dan DeVito. We're all great. And Adam West, I'm a sucker for the old TV series. I grew up watching it. So Cesar Romero is a great Joker, and Burgess Meredith, Mickey himself as the Penguin. And Catwoman was sexy as hell. Let me tell you, I had a big crush on Catwoman growing up. And the Riddler was one of my favorite Riddlers there, was Frank Gorshin. So, but I have to eliminate it overall. I know that's nostalgia talking because I got to agree with you on Bale. Bale has Ra's al Ghul, has Heath Ledger as the Joker, Tom Hardy as Bane. Right there, those three are like they're almost perfection. There's nothing wrong with either of them. And then you add in the spice of Cillian Murphy's great Scarecrow character. Have and you throw in Talia. There's a lot of emphasis on the villains in the movies, but not so much that it overtakes the story. But they're perfectly cast villains. And I agree with everything you said about Ra's al Ghul, especially too. So I'll jump piggyback onto what you said on that one. So I will agree and give it to Bale.
All right. So I think this is Bale taking the lead with 2-1-1-1.
We'll talk about it later. We don't score it as we go along. We save it to the end.
All right.
Come on, Jarvi. All right. Anyway.
All right. Next one. I'm keeping it together.
All right, best physicality and best magical voice.
Your favorite category.
My favorite category, indeed. But you go ahead and go first.
Best physicality, including voice. So, actually, I'll let you go first.
Okay, that's fine. I'll say Adam West is not best. He's a little bit of a doughy Batman in a way. Although I will say I do like the suit a little bit, but we'll get into that later on. Keaton, again, this is the reason why I hate knocking Keaton, but Keaton's like 5'7", 5'6". He's not intimidating at all. So I have a hard time, and like the suit was so like rubbery. I mean, he made a big deal about he couldn't even like turn his neck. It was like
and they address it in Bale's Batman, in Batman Begins, actually. Like he says, I want to turn my head or something.
Exactly. So Keaton, I gotta knock Keaton off, unfortunately, again. Kilmer's good. Clooney I'll knock off because Clooney doesn't seem intimidating as an action hero at all anyway. I just feel like he's too smarmy to be an action hero. I don't mean smarmy. Smarmy is a bad word for it, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's too almost proper to be a real solid action star in that way. The physicality. Bale is good. Affleck is damn good. I got to put it between Bale and Affleck, and that's the hard one for me. Bale's voice is almost to the point of parody, so I actually don't like it as much as others do.
But you gotta appreciate his input. He's going all in with the voice.
Oh, he was definitely fucking committed. I'll give him that. He's definitely fucking committed. I want to commit him for how committed he was. I will say that because it almost leans too much into parody for me. I'm gonna give it to Affleck. I think Affleck had the perfect. He went down the same path that Bale went down, but didn't quite take it that far. And I just love his physicality. That like the whole, I mean, his fight versus Superman and his fight even versus Doomsday with the different, the big suit and everything else. I loved Affleck's Batman physicality. So I got to go with Ben Affleck, I think.
Yeah, I'm going Affleck as well. But I like Bale is coming close. Because he got huge for the role as well. Yeah. I think he did like The Machinist before or something, and Batman Begins, and he actually got too big for the role. Nolan told him to hit the gym, like work off those pounds. He almost like he said he bulked up so much that he almost got fat.
Yeah,
but he said he wanted to fill out the suit, so that's crazy what he's doing. But
that guy's body, I mean, The Machinist to that to when he did it for Vice, and he got like actually got fat, and it's just I don't get what he does. He's got to kill his body that way. I can't do that anymore. I think that's what he said too. But he's starting to. He's showing wear. Yeah. Ford vs. Ferrari seemed to be sure he's starting to show wear. I don't know, maybe. But either way, I like Bale, but I got to give it to Affleck. So
it's because Bale can hold his own against like the foes he goes up against, but he feels very vulnerable still, and that's because Nolan's Batman is very rooted in realism. If we put him up against like Affleck's Batman, I feel like he has the more menacing presence about him. And if we'd have a fight between the Batman, I think Batfleck comes out on top because he's the only Batman that actually kills his enemies as well, which I'm not saying is a right choice. But if we're doing like a cage fight, I feel like Batfleck, he feels more rooted in sort of this. I don't want to say he doesn't have supernatural powers, but he almost feels more supernatural, because if we think about the first time we see Batman in BVS, he's on the ceiling almost, and he walks across the ceiling into. It's like in Nolan's movie, we would have him exactly explaining what he used in his boots or something like that. We don't get any explanation. We just get like this iconic bat figure who can pretty much do things that aren't very realistic.
Give it that. I'll give it that.
So I think that's all Snyder, but I'm giving this to Affleck, although I'm not a fan of the digital, like the, what do you call it, digital voice? The voice amplifier.
The modulated thing.
This is actually the modulator. This is where I'm giving it. I would give this to Bale on the voice alone, because I love that he goes all in. I like the commitment.
But it's not a category.
Nope. But even though I think the best voice is Michael Keaton's.
Really?
And I know you said he doesn't do a voice, he's just being himself. I feel like he is, but he's doing it way more subtly. He's like, I'm Batman. He almost whispers it, but it carries so much gravitas.
Nice word choice. I go with that. When I say he doesn't do a voice, I mean it is not like a big difference. The voice, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. There is definitely a slight difference. There's definitely, but I like Keaton's voice. I think that's fine. But the rest of his physicality just makes it hard for me to give it all. Mm-hmm. But definitively,
both of us going Batfleck on this.
Yes, we're going Batfleck. Christian Bale, close second. Actually, I'm sorry, it's your magical voice lost it for me for Bale. So that let you know that too. I'm really getting under your skin with that one. I know. I'm just gonna keep needling you a little bit. But
go ahead. Bring it.
All right. Best detective work.
Okay.
This is the world's greatest detective. And I
That's
feel like
right.
we don't see as much detective work in the films as we possibly should.
Yeah, there's some in Nolan's Batman and Bale doing some, when he's trying to infiltrate Lau, was that his name? The money launderer for the criminals. And he's going, like, he travels to, I think is it Tokyo? It's not Tokyo, Hong Kong, I think. And he plants the phone. He's there with Alfred. He's like plans everything out. He's got this whole intricate plan. It's definitely there, but it still feels like there isn't enough. And this is where I'm looking again at BVS. Okay. And I haven't decided yet, but I feel like his detective work, like Affleck pretty much beats Superman with his detective skills. Mm-hmm. That's all him researching, finding the kryptonite, weaponizing it, using it to his advantage. And even the big suit, he knows that Superman is stronger than him. Absolutely knows it. That's why he has the big suit. Go ahead. You want to say something?
There's also the Lex Luthor finding the boat. He searches down the boat.
The white Portuguese. Yeah.
That's it. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name off the top of my head. Also, he's finding, searching down the Justice League, the Aquaman, the Flash.
I was working my way there. Exactly.
I hear that. But I'm sorry, I did cut you off.
No. That's, and he does the same thing with Doomsday. Yeah. He's actually, I think I'll save this. Well, actually, it's sort of his detective skills that pay off there as well, because he knows again that Doomsday pretty much pound for pound is more powerful than Superman. Superman like outsmarts him eventually, but I think Doomsday is like more powerful. He feels like he's more powerful. He consumes energy and gets bigger and bigger. And Affleck's Batman knows it, but still works his way around. He can toy around him. He's like using his grapple hooks. He's using the bat. Is it the bat? The flying.
Yeah, just the bat. Yeah, the bat.
Yeah,
that plane back in the day, and
and although he gets bested by Doomsday and Wonder Woman has to save him, he still can hold his own, do the best he can, and pretty much because of him, Superman gets the best of Doomsday. That's how I think he shoots the last kryptonite spray. Yep. And then like Superman goes in with the spear. So I feel like this is like Snyder is so underrated as a DC director. So
you're saying that's clearly Affleck for you.
Okay. Clearly.
All right. you're convincing me more. I kind of wasn't sure. I had it between Affleck and Bale, although I do want to bring in Keaton. I love that Keaton had the moment where he figures out who Jack Napier is with the video screen. He does the talk. He figures out the chemical compounds that he Joker had created to make everybody die, lose a smile, and a smile. He figured all that stuff out and was able to
that
get
movie's
the
pretty
product
messed
there.
up.
This is kind of really strange, but it's actually very bad.
It's cool. It's cool. It works, but it's kind of
that detective work is good. Bale does some great work. I remember we talked about off air the bullet sequence, even though it's not very realistic. The replaying and finding the bullet angle, a lot of detective work that way. Although I think you won me over. I like the Affleck stuff. I like a lot of the Affleck stuff.
And I didn't even get into the Justice League part, which you said as well. He tracks down Barry Allen, Arthur Curry, and Cyborg. Oh my God, Cyborg is. Oh, I just watched it again. I just watched Justice League again. Victor Stone Cyborg is amazing. He's so cool as a character.
I just want to see the Snyder cut.
Me too. Bring us the Snyder cut.
But okay, I'm gonna go. I'll give it to Affleck as well. For the same reason. Again, nice. Bale is a close second, but yeah, that's what I can go with. All right, so we're down to
the last category:
suit and vehicles and toys. Where does he get those wonderful toys? Let me throw out there first of all that I am seriously considering. This is kind of like your voice category.
You better not say Clooney.
No, I'm not saying Clooney. I'm actually going much deeper than that. I'm seriously considering Adam West. And here's why. Not necessarily the suit, which I love. Let's get that up there. Look at that doughy Batman. Look at that Adam West. That's a very, at the time that was made, that was the Batman costume. That was it.
That doesn't even pass for a Halloween costume or like a rental nowadays.
Which is why
I'm sorry, I'm being mean.
No, that's fine. Don't be mean. It's okay. And I get it. That's probably why I won't. The suit is what I won't give it to it. But I love his toys. The Bat Shark repellent, for Christ's sake. He has Bat everything. Whatever you need,
totally
he had Bat whatever. Bat Batarang. I mean, Bat everything you possibly need, he had it. And I loved his toys for that. I mean, the only reason I'm not giving it is the suit. I'm probably not giving it because we're only talking about the movie. And he had a lot more toys in the in the show itself, but the Bat boat was in this one as well. Bat boat. Everything. He had a Bat everything. And that's why I love it about. So I want to give him some love, and I'd almost give him the points, but I know better.
I think we both know who actually takes this category. You were sort of toying around with Adam West, but okay, I'm just gonna predict that I feel like you have to be going the same way I am, and I'm going Bale, Nolan. This is what Nolan does best. Is he uses, like I said before, everything is rooted in realism. His suit, it's an actual military grade, like Kevlar stuff. Everything is explained how this works, how that works. They even change his neck move, like the I don't know what you call it, like yeah. He can move his head, and the bat, not the bat pod, the tumbler. They actually built that, and it worked actually. Like I think it almost like it had the ability to jump as well, if I'm not mistaken.
With all sorts.
And it turns into the bat pod, which is like one of the coolest scenes in all of Batman is when he drives out of the tumbler with his bat pod.
I agree with that. Well, let's look at that just for the hell of it. I gotta say,
I like the year. The long years there.
I am a sucker for this is not how Batman was first made. Obviously,
so uncomfortable.
But I did love the yellow Batman symbol.
Yeah,
I grew up in the 80s, and that was what it was.
The symbol. I know what you mean.
Because it had that. That was and they explained in the comics at one point that they had the yellow there as a way to if somebody had a gun, they'd see the yellow symbol and shoot at that, where he was probably the most protected. Instead of shooting him in the face or whatever. So the yellow symbol was the way to show. I always loved the yellow in there. But
it's the most iconic symbol, for sure.
Right. But then they don't do that. That's not how it used to be. Like, for example, he doesn't have it. Neither does.
It looks cooler.
Affleck. And Affleck had that. And actually, Affleck's Batman is the closest to the original design for Batman.
Actually, for suit-wise, Affleck's is my favorite.
I don't
just disagree. The suit and his build, everything.
But while we're here, let's talk about the nipples.
Let's do. That's actually Kilmer. Kilmer had nips as well.
and then Clooney had the big nips.
Yes.
This by far is the worst of them. And Clooney's. The funny thing is, Clooney's gadgets were almost as bad as Adam West's in a way, but like it shouldn't have been that way. But he has like the fucking back credit card, like totally home with it. What the fuck was going on with that movie? On rewatch, I loved it a lot more because it was so bad.
Mhm.
When I first saw it, you think about the fourth movie in the Michael Keaton film franchise, the Tim Burton franchise, and that was such a good Batman. At the fourth one being so bad, it was hard to swallow. But taking it now as like almost like a standalone Batman movie, I gotta love it because it's so bad. I gotta love it since Adam West had it territory in a way. But Adam West did it first, so he had the ridiculous gadgets first. So Clooney, you're out, you're fired, you're gone. Val Kilmer though has the gold Batman thing. I actually like the look of this one. I like the hanging belt in a way. So
yeah,
there's something about it makes that's the Dark Knight. That's the Knight character in a way. And so they took a riff on that. So I love the Kilmer look as Batman. I think I'm going Kilmer. I think I'm
What about like okay, I'll try to
talk me out of it.
And not talk you out of it, just like tell me more about his vehicles and toys, because this is also a big factor. Because if we're going suit-wise, I would go Affleck, but I feel like the practical suit of Bale's Batman and add in the toys, vehicles, everything. It's like almost like, why are you borrowing this gear? I'm going spelunking. Like sort of everything is explained. Everything has a reason, and they show you how it works. I think the only thing that they don't really explain is the bat, the plane, pretty much in the Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah,
because we got hovercraft technology, I'm sure, but they don't get into it over there.
Yeah, Val Kilmer, again, actually, I'm not a big fan of any of the Batmobiles from the Tim Burton franchise. Or the whole forth. They were okay.
They look iconic. Well, they look very cartoony.
Yeah, and like honestly, going back, I gotta say, going back to Adam West, that's one of my favorite Batmobiles there are. It's stupid and do
you have the picture somewhere?
I
can't remember Adam West's Batmobile.
Give me I'll try to
find it. I'm googling it now. This is quality TV, people. Oh my god, it's just a car.
It's classic. That's what about it. That's what it is about it. If you guys could find it at home, I can't find a way to. I don't want to share it out here. But I gotta tell you, it's.
Go for it, man.
There's something iconic about it growing up. Like you slid in there, and all your devices in there. It had this little computer. Back in the day, for the '60s, right? It was high tech.
It's almost like James Bond,
Yes, it had the fire that came out of the back. Yeah. That's actually right. There's something about the Batmobile from that day. You slid right in it. It was an open. That was the Batmobile from when I was young, and that was how it was when I was growing up. That's what I thought the Batmobile was. So when I got these like more like high tech vehicles, it was kind of like it almost was too much for me in a way. But I know better. And stepping back and trying to step away from nostalgia. I gotta love the fucking tumbler. The tumbler, the tank.
Right. Does it come in black?
So for me, I guess it's between Bale
and the Bat Pod. The Bat Pod comes out of the tumbler.
I love Kilmer's suit better, but I think I like Bale's toys and gadgets better. I can't even think about his toys and gadgets. What Kilmer had toys and gadget wise, that was anything that was worth really talking about.
And think about one other thing. They don't really explain how. Well, they don't need to explain how the Batman can almost fly and glide. They explain that as well, and
well, that's because Nolan's is much more grounded. That's what they try to do. Try to explain in reality what he was doing. Whereas,
they explain it, but it feels legit. I think you said something about where they're recreating the gunshot right in the basement.
Yeah,
I think we talked before we went live. You said that when you think about that scene, it feels like it makes sense. This is exactly how you would do it. But actually, you just looked it up. It makes no sense whatsoever. So that's what Nolan does best. He uses these. That's what he did in Interstellar as well. He used viable theories.
He bullshit you with science.
And he bullshitted it up, but he used scientific fact, and he made you believe it.
That's true. I got it. All right. I want to give it to Kilmer just because I love that suit. But you convinced me that the Bale toys are definitely much better. The sonar. The bat sonar and the Dark Knight, so many toys that he had,
and the suit as well. The suit is
pretty. I'm gonna look it up again. I do like the military grade Kevlar and everything else.
And like the spikes. I don't think any other Batman can like shoot the spikes out of It's like like throwing stars almost.
Yep. And it is very Night-like as well. So
he has the electricity built into his suit as well. When they're trying to take his mask off,
yep,
they get a surge. You're going Bale?
I guess I got to go Bale.
Indy is agreeing with me in the background.
There's Action Cat for you. Bat Cat. That's what it'd be. He would be in the Adam West show. It'd be the Bat Cat. I don't know what that means necessarily. That's kind of weird. But all right, fine. Before I tally up our point totals, which is not actually very surprising at all, to be honest with you. But I will say it's time. This is something that's very timely that came out this week for this show. We didn't plan it. We actually decided the show before this came out. But let's watch it together real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the first look at Robert Pattinson in the Batman suit. So let's take a look at that.
Because we just talked about their suits and gadgets. So here we get a first look at the suit. Sort of. It's kind of dark, but...
yeah. It is a little dark,
and that's the actual score. By the way, Michael Giacchino.
It is him. Okay, actually, I like it. I like the score a lot.
It feels very, like noir type.
Yeah, which is what he's going for. Speaking of the detective,
and the bat, like the
what pieces of metal. Supposed to be the metal.
That's
gun,
the guns
maybe?
that killed the gun that killed his parents.
Which was a Kevin Smith thing, I think. Actually,
really.
I believe
the shoulder pads and like the mask actually looks pretty like just like leather made, homemade. It doesn't feel very.
It's interesting because he's so thin still.
Yeah. He almost looks like Nightwing.
That's a good call. Yeah. I don't think plus it's a young Batman. I think they're going to go young, like year one type Batman in a way. So. I like it very much. I'm very excited about that. I mean, some people are over their mind about it, out of their mind, like, oh my God, so great. I'm still kind of looking at footage. I'm kind of like, well, it's cool, but I'm not.
I'm getting more and more. I'm almost at what you just said, like, oh my God, this is the best thing.
I'm waiting for it. I'm happy. The footage itself isn't enough to get me like any more hyped up. I hyped enough for it that I'm kind of like, okay, that's cool. Cool to say. But that's where we are. We'll have to see but let's see who's going to face Robert Pattinson in the best Batman.
All right.
How Robert Pattinson faces up. We got.
I know who I'm hoping for.
We have a 3-way tie for last place.
Oh, okay.
0 points. Adam West got 0 votes. George Clooney got 0 votes. Michael Keaton got 0 votes.
Oh, we're gonna get slaughtered for this.
That's gonna get slaughtered. And this is what I was mentioning before. I love Michael Keaton. He's like one of my favorite Batmans. I like him much better than something. It's just these categories aren't suited for him. Because it's a very different take on Batman, I think. I think that's what it is. It just didn't quite fit. We're still going to get slaughtered. That's maybe trying to deflect some of the blame. People are going to hate us, though. We're always going for hot takes.
The actor, you can tell when people just love Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I agree. He's not wrong, but they're not wrong. He's a great Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
With 1 point in third place is Val Kilmer. I gave him that one point as Bruce Wayne.
You did.
I just put Kilmer over Keaton. Sorry. I think Keaton's a better Batman overall. I just for the one guy. Therefore, who is it? Is it Bale or Affleck?
I'm really hoping for Affleck.
It's Batfleck.
Is the winner or second place?
Batfleck is the winner. Batfleck is the winner.
And I think it's truly deserved.
I do too.
I think the critics say these are probably like one of the worst, not the worst, thinking about Clooney's Batman and stuff, but the movies aren't like universally loved, but the characters in those movies are very well fleshed out and like people love the characters, even if the movie that they're in isn't loved as much. I feel like, yeah, go ahead.
I will say that a lot like, I might get slaughtered for this comparison, maybe, but I like when Heath Ledger was first announced as the Joker, people laughed that off. Like, Heath Ledger?
I remember that.
And then he did his thing. There's a very similarity when Ben Affleck at first was like,
yes,
Batman. You're like, Ben Affleck as Batman?
I was on board immediately.
Really? Kevin Smith was on board immediately as Ben's friend. He loved it coming. And I was more on board than I was with Heath. I was actually one of the people who kind of like did not see Heath at all until the first time you heard his laugh. Then I was like, oh, wait, I'm in now. With Affleck, I was kind of like, I could see it being good. I was cautiously optimistic, but I think people being sour on him at first, he was able to beat the expectations, and that makes him that much better overall as a Batman. I think a lot of people like Christian Bale as Batman, and we only it's 5-4. It was my giving Kilmer the look that it is not be a tie. So my fault. You can throw the hate mail my way that we made Batfleck as the winner, but it is what it is. I gotta say, I'm not sad about it at all. I love Batfleck.
Yep.
Not gonna lie, I love Ben Affleck. I'm sad that he is no longer going to be around.
Yeah, me too.
I like the idea of Robert Pattinson. I do. He's actually another person who kind of, some people are kind of like, oh God, it's the sparkly vampire has been. And
no, he's come a long way.
But he has come a long way since then. He's done some great roles. So,
and I'm saying he's going to be Pattinson this year and the next is going to be the biggest movie star on the planet.
With
like. Yeah, Tenet. We're getting Batman. He got
well received in the Lighthouse. He was well received in the Lighthouse.
Right. He's going to be the guy.
So sounds about time. He's actually a good guy. He's had to play
he's
down.
He's a great actor, and I was really rooting for him when the casting talks were ongoing for Batman.
Right.
I was listening to I think Collider Live back then. Christian Harloff was a big supporter of Pattinson to get the Batman. I was like, weirdly, I'm on board with him because people didn't really like that choice, but I was with him all the way.
Yeah, I get it. I'm on board now. I admit when I first heard it, I kind of stopped and paused and was like, but at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. I think actually partially is because Heath and Ben Affleck before him kind of like at this point, I'm like, all right, you know what? I've been wrong. I'm going to let it go. Let's show me what you got, kid, and go from there. So.
He's going to be amazing in Tenet. Tell you that
starring Richard Eric Jarvi as well.
Yes.
Anyway, let's wrap this up. We're a little over an hour already. One of our longer episodes. We tend to drive around when it comes to
pretty much our average episode now.
I know. We try to cut it down to 40 minutes, but we keep wanting to talk. So that's what it is. Let's see. Where can the folks find you there, Ricks?
Richard Eric with a K Jarvi on Instagram and Facebook, and of course go follow Action Industries on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Yes. And of course you can find me at Paul_Denuzio on Twitter, Paul Denuzio on Facebook. You can also find me at www.patreon.com/teamaction, where I help run Ben and Drew's Patreon. A lot of new tiers coming.
You help them run it, dude.
I'm being nice.
Dude.
I'm being nice. I did say that if I delete the Patreon, they probably wouldn't notice for a week on one of the streams. That was Andrew's quote. But there's going to be a Patreon video on this Sunday's Action Guy where they're going to announce all the new tiers and how they revamped a lot of things. Some cool things.
There's actually a video on it. I just posted it on the Action Industries Instagram TV. It's like a 7-minute video where I think you posted it on Patreon as well. It's like a snippet. They're talking about the new... The freaking commander-in-chief, I think it's the Shawsheks now, took it, right?
Yes, Lucas and Alex Shawshek.
Holy crap, they're getting the actual props. That is so cool.
They're getting the sword cane. That's the first one they're getting. The sword cane.
And I want the golf club.
You can also find me on Call to Action, the Movie Trivia Schmodown podcast. It talks about the after show of the Movie Trivia Schmodown. I'm on every Monday with Chilled Action. This coming Monday, we're going to be with Mark Ellis as our guest, the co-creator of the Schmodown. It's going to be a fun time there.
I was hoping I could be on there as well, but unfortunately, I can't make it work at the time.
It is what it is, unfortunately. And also, I might have an announcement in a couple of weeks about another new project, but I'll save that one for later on. So that's all for us today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your like, subscribe, give us comments, add suggestions. We'll take them under consideration. We don't have a plan for next week yet. I will tease that I just saw Jay and Silent Bob reboot. And I loved Kevin Smith so much that I think there will be a future Kevin Smith View Askew Universe.
When I've seen more of his movies?
Correct. It's on Jarvi to do so.
Forcing me to see them?
I am making him do it. But until then, we'll find out. I guess we will have to see you next week. We'll figure out what it's going to be. It's going to be a good one, I'm sure. And what do we say at the end of the day? We say the court is adjourned.